This is Abe Friedtanzer from Awards Buzz, and I'm so excited to be speaking with Vivian Kerr about Scrap. How are you, Vivian?
I am great. I'm excited to talk to you about it.
I'm curious about the origins of this film and the inspiration for it.
Well, I mean, I've lived in LA basically my entire adult life, and my neighborhood in Hollywood had changed a lot. This was back in like 2016 when there were just a lot more people suddenly like sleeping in tents, sleeping in their cars or RVs. And some of these people seemed to have jobs, like they would like go to some sort of employment and then come back and sleep in their car, and that was like really hard to see. So I think that that really struck me, but I felt like most movies that I'd seen that kind of depicted people who were, homeless or whatever were like about drug addiction or mental illness or like, I don't know, like The Soloist or something. And it's like, it's not that I don't think those are good movies. I just had never seen a movie about what a woman who was maybe right on the precipice of that, like what that would look like and how someone would even get there. So yeah, I think that was the genesis. Just like how would I like if that how what would have to go wrong in my life for that to be me?
Well, it's also interesting because it's not like she's being terribly irresponsible. She's found a place for her daughter to be safe and comfortable, and it's just her figuring that out. And even though she should probably communicate a little bit better, it's not nearly as messy and unfortunate as it could be.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, she's like got this safety net. And so I think it's been interesting because I think some critics have been a little bit annoyed by that. Have been like, we're like mad that she sort of has a safety net, but she's still kind of like putting herself in very dangerous situations. And but the movie really is like this exploration of pride. We all know people who have a safety net or were born wealthy or into a wealthy family or something, and things go wrong, and for whatever reason their lives kind of go off the rails. So it really doesn't have as much to do with a safety net as I think about like someone's personal circumstances and kind of like mentally what they're going through.
And she's still in a lot better shape than many people because she again does have the support system. And also the scene that is really sticking with me is when she doesn't go to pick up her daughter because she just assumes that her sister-in-law is going to do it because she's been doing it. And it didn't even occur to her that this is a responsibility she should have because unlike people who don't have anybody, she has people who are sort of giving her too much and keeping her, not stringing her along, but giving her that safety net that maybe would be helpful for her not to have, even as that might have devastating consequences.
Yeah, there's a few conversations in the film between Ben and his wife Stacy where she's like, boundaries. Like we've talked about that, you need to sort of like have some boundaries with your sister. Because, yeah, she has kind of been using them and using him, but for him it's really, really hard to let go of the role of caretaker.
And there's also the IVF storyline, which I feel like plays into it that they're trying so hard to have a baby, and she's had a baby and doesn't seem, even though she is doing so much, it doesn't seem like she's putting any effort in, at least to them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure. It's like, and then also, maybe from Beth's point of view, it's like they sort of take their comfortable lifestyle for granted, maybe, like maybe it's like she's like, there's a scene where I come in the house for the first time and I lay down on the couch. And it's kind of a funny moment, where Ben's like, okay, well, I guess I'll go upstairs and get the band-aid or whatever. But when we were shooting it, like we were like, yeah, it's funny, but it's also like, yeah, when's the last time she laid down like that, where it was like really she could be fully flat and like comfortable on like a cushion or something, like a really soft surface. And it's like, it's probably been like maybe 2 or 3 weeks, So they basically both covet what the other one has for sure.
I also, in that scene, expected her to then be asleep when he came back down, and instead she's off exploring and rifling through his stuff because that's what's interesting to her, which was not what I had expected in that moment.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like also there's just this thing of like the little sibling is like always into the older sibling's stuff. We're seeing a lot of like echoes from their childhood. You can imagine like a younger Beth, like always like, stealing his stuff or like getting into his room and, causing havoc.
You have siblings, and was that dynamic inspired by anything real?
I have one sibling. Yeah, I have an older sister, Marion, who's 5 years older, but I don't think it was inspired necessarily. I think we're very close. We have a great relationship. So not necessarily like the relationship in the film, but I think because we are close, like I definitely have always been interested in films about siblings. Like you can count on me, The Savages. Those movies always really spoke to me. So I wanted to do something that depicted what I felt was like a real authentic sibling relationship.
And I said, did you want Laura Linney for this role too? Would that be a good fit?
I mean, like, listen, I'll do anything with Laura Linney wants to do something with me. I'll do anything with her. I think she's incredible. What an actress.
We do have some great co-stars, but I want to start with you. Did you know that you wanted to play this role all along?
Yeah, I did know I wanted to play this role. My background primarily when I started was as an actor. So that's kind of what I did for the longest time. And I think I wanted to sort of maybe play a female character that was a little bit more nuanced and complicated than some of the work I'd done in TV and in other independent films. So writing the script, always knew I wanted to play Beth. I wasn't sure whether or not I wanted to direct it. I sort of wasn't sure if it was like the smartest thing for, I always really wanted to direct, but I wasn't sure if like for my first feature, it was the smartest thing to try to do, play the lead role and to direct it. But I'm so glad I did now. It was such a great experience.
What surprised you most about directing a feature?
Gosh, I think just how long the process is. Because as an actor, right, you just kind of like you prep obviously your cast and then, depending on how much lead up time, you maybe have max, a couple months to like prepare max, sometimes only a couple days. And then you go and you shoot it and then your work is done, right? And then when the film comes out, you do some promo for it, but I think for a director, especially if you're a writer director, this is your child. You are with it from when it was the first germination of an idea through the writing and revision process, through the fundraising, through the pre-production, production, post, like it's if you're directing a feature film, it is always going to be a multi-year process, always, unless you're doing one of those like crazy Hallmark movies where they just like turn those around in like 2 months. I don't know how they do that, but it's an independent film like this is always going to take a big chunk of your life. And so I think what I didn't expect is how moving that is, to be like, wow, this is a project where you're on it for like 5 or 6 years. And you only get so many 5 or 6 years chunks of your life, right? So it's like, I wonder if people like Martin Scorsese look back in their lives and almost like contextualize their life as like the Raging Bull period, because it is a bizarre thing where, uh you are going to kind of like eke out your life on these projects.
I want to come back to your directing career, but first I want to ask about your co-stars, about Anthony and Lana, because I feel like they're both known by people for some particularly iconic projects. What was the process of getting them like, and did you have them in mind when you wrote the story?
Yeah, I mean, I could not have gotten luckier. I mean, they're so like they're great actors. They're perfect. I mean, obviously, I think they're perfectly cast, and then they were just wonderful to work with. Um, so Anthony and I had met on so we did a short film version of Scrap back in 2018. We shot it 2019. It did festivals with it. So he came on and played Ben in that, and we didn't know each other. And just from working together on that, I was like, this is great. Like I thought we had great chemistry. I fully believed him as my brother. The dynamic we created together was exactly what I had been hoping to explore. So I ended up writing the feature with him in mind and was sort of like just hoping that it would work with his schedule because he was on Star Trek Discovery. So there's a lot of time during the year where like he wouldn't be available. And then everything just perfectly lined up where I sent him the feature script. He was happy to do it. He wanted to do it. And then we were able to schedule it during his hiatus. And so, yeah, everything just worked out great. And then for Lana, we had hired casting directors and I think she's amazing. I think she's an incredible actress. And I think she's one of those actresses that I always felt like could just do maybe more than she had been like previously, I don't know, like seen on screen doing. Um, and yeah, we offered it to her, and when she said yes, I was so relieved because I thought she's going to be such a great counterpoint to me. I mean, just not even in terms of us like physically being different or our energies as actors being different, but she she can do it all. She's so strong. She can be very intimidating, but she can also be very soft and vulnerable. Um, and she's someone who like would be kind of a scary sister-in-law if you were like, trying to hide your shit a little bit. So I thought, yeah, she was and just wonderful, wonderful to work with. I love what she brought to Stacy. And that's a role that's a smaller supporting role that could have been less nuanced in the hands of someone who maybe didn't care as much, but I think it was very important to her to like really get that like story of a woman going through IVF and really wanting motherhood and it not working out. I think she really really did a lot of preparation on that, and I think it really comes through in the film.
I think she also has a reputation from stuff like Once Upon a Time and Why Women Kill, but I first saw her in Boomtown, and I think which is like a really incredible role that is much different than what she's gone on to do after that.
Yeah, yeah. And I think for her too, I think that's part of the reason, I won't speak for her, but I think that she has said in other press that yeah, that she was interested in doing this film because it gave her like a little bit of an opportunity to do something really human. Um, that was different from the work that she had just done immediately prior.
And what about, I don't know if it's Juliana or Juliana who plays Birdie.
Yeah, she's like one of those insane, precocious little girl actresses where you're like, how are you doing this? Like like you're such a small person, but like you're so good. Yeah, our casting directors, we couldn't find anyone. We ended up not being able to find the right actress in Los Angeles. And so they did kind of a national search, and she and her mom were living in New Jersey. And I think she had done one episode of I forgot, a TV series based in New York, but she really didn't have that much experience. And her mom sent us self tape and we watched her tape and she was so good. And we got on a Zoom call with her and yeah, she was just wonderful. And um yeah, it was like she and her mom are both great. And now she's gone on to do like I think like 3 or 4 films since we shot Scrap. So like she's gonna be a star for sure.
I know it's been a while that this film has been, circulating on the festival circuit, et cetera, to the point that you have another feature that is already playing festivals.
Yeah, well, so it just premiered. So yeah, my second feature Seance just premiered at the Newport Beach Film Festival. So that one is like couldn't be more different. It's like a Victorian Gothic thriller. Um and yeah, I'm hoping we'll do more festivals with that in 2025.
What was that a different experience for making this one? I assume in every possible way.
Yeah, I mean, it was different in every possible way for sure. Just the, doing something genre. I'd never done anything genre before. It's a more it has a lot more technical elements. Like that film there was like underwater work and stunts, and we had like a jib, steady cam. Like there was just more complicated technical pieces. So and like the budget was a little bit bigger. So um yeah, it was just a very different kind of a film. But I mean, I enjoyed it equally as much. That was a world I had been really interested in exploring as well. So, and it's fun to turn around and do something different. I think it'd be weird if like right after Scrap, I just like made another film just like Scrap. I don't know. I don't some people do that, but I'm like, that's not, I'd love to keep making things that are all very different, sort of individually contained pieces. That really appeals to me.
You're not in this one, right?
I am in it. Yeah, I am in it as well. Yeah.
But not the lead role.
No, I'm playing. So there's actually only 4 characters. So it's a very like uh it's like a chamber piece, right? It's very much like The Haunting, the original Haunting, Robert Wise's film, or The Innocents. These characters are sort of trapped overnight in a spooky Victorian mansion. And all have sort of very complicated relationships with each other that are explored over the course of that night. So yeah, there's 4 characters, 2 men and 2 women, and I play the second woman, female lead.
Cool. I hope that goes very well. Since this is awards buzz, I'm always curious, the people I'm talking to, what are you watching? What's a film or performance you've seen recently that's really sticking with you?
Oh God, do you know what's crazy? Because so Scrap did 43 film festivals. So much of my time in the last like year and a half has been at film festivals seeing independent films. So I've missed all of the bigger films. I mean, I haven't even seen Wicked
Give
yet.
us
Nothing.
good independent. I want to hear about something I haven't even heard of. What's
Yeah.
something that's really
Gosh, well, let's see. At Phoenix Film Festival, I saw this feature called oh my God, I'm gonna butcher the name. I think it was called Guacamole Yesterdays. It has like a very funny title and very independent. I think they shot it in Atlanta, I think Atlanta or maybe Nashville. I thought it was a really cool film. It's sort of like a Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind kind of a thing, where it's about a relationship that ended, and there's a little bit of a sci-fi sort of I don't know if sci-fi is the right word, but kind of like a yeah, I guess sort of sci-fi, I don't know, element about kind of going back and like revisiting the relationship through technology, very much in that Eternal Sunshine way. And I thought it was very imaginative and interesting. And the writing on it was incredible. It was an incredible script. It was one of those movies where at the end I was just like a mess. So yeah, films like that. And then actually I should plug my friend Tess has a really fun film that's going to come out next year called Him, which is a dark comedy about the behind the scenes of the Bachelorette and Bachelor franchise. It's about the women who are stuck in the house waiting for the Bachelor and kind of like what happens between all of them over the course of one night. It's very funny, very dark, and she wrote it, and it's great.
I do want to ask you a different final question, which is of these 43 film festivals, what's the hidden gem that people don't know about that really was so wonderful?
Oh, so many. Gosh, I think one of the ones that I always tell everyone about is Julian Dubuque in Dubuque, Iowa. It is such a great festival. The woman, Susan, who runs it is amazing. I don't know how she does it, but they take such good care of the filmmakers. The hospitality is amazing. And they have these beautiful venues, like it's sort of the old 19th century opera house and like these just incredible spaces. So it's a really I think it's a little bit of sort of like off the beaten path, but it's a real gem.
Well, I wish you plenty more wonderful festival experiences, and thanks so much for talking to me today.
Thank you so much, Abe.